is Adam from Counting Crows, and you are listening to Recess with Spinelli.
You are listening to Recess with Spinelli here on WSPN, Saratoga Springs, New York, and HOXTON FM, London, England. And today we are here with Adam Duritz, originally from Berkeley, California, but now based in New York, and he's the frontman of the Counting Crows. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, man.
Now, you are currently on your summer tour with Mr. Rob Thomas until the end of September. Any exciting news from the front so far?
It's honestly the most fun I've had on tour in a long time. It's just been really great. You know, Rob is, we used to be really good friends. I haven't seen him for about a decade. And it's just like when we were younger. He's the nicest guy. We're all out watching each other play all the time. It's just been really cool. The opening band, Kay Phillips, is a good friend of mine. He and Rob have completely hit it off. It seems like everybody's on stage watching each other play all the time. And it's been really cool.
Now, do you find it sometimes difficult to maybe reconnect with some of your older friends while you're on tour all the time?
Well, I'm awkward at best with people, and so I do tend to... And also, you know, the combination of being sort of an awkward person and also spending most of the last 25 years on the road in a tour bus, and since a lot of my friends are doing the same thing, we're often out of touch with each other because you just live lives that are often completely on opposite sides of the earth from each other, and you don't have the luxury of being in the same town all the time to, like, accidentally run into each other and do stuff, you know? So, I think I do fall out of touch with people all the time, but I think one of the nice things about our thing is that everybody knows that, and when you run into each other again, people just seem to pick up where you left off.
Now, when you're on tour with another musician, such as Mr. Rob Thomas, do you ever get the chance to reconnect on a basis outside of the concert venue? Oh, yeah, like when we go out to dinner and stuff. We've done that several times.
We were in D.C., and I was my friend B.B. Winans from the Winans family, the gospel singer. He has a play that he wrote that is doing its out-of-town work in D.C. right now. And I was down there, and I want to try and get to see B.B. and see the play, but I also want to see my sister, so I wasn't sure I could do it. And I'd been talking to a friend on the phone about it, and I walked through catering a few minutes later. I hear Rob talking to some of the guys from his band, and he's like, well, you know, probably tomorrow I'm going to have... my friend's got a play here in D.C., so I'm going to go see him and see the play. Stopped in my tracks. I'm like, wait a minute, are you friends with BB? He goes, yeah, for 20 years. I'm like, me too. We were talking about the same person. I didn't actually get to go to the play because I was trying to find my sister that day because she lives there too. But afterwards, BB and Rob and I all got together for dinner and hung out. It was great, you know. We spent a lot of time together, honestly, all of us on the road.
Now, you will be playing at the Saratoga Performing Arts Center on August 15th. I understand that you guys have played there before. Do you have any memories about
SPAC,
the... Yeah, SPAC. Do you have any memories of that specific venue at all?
I remember that I really like it. And we played there about 3 or 4 times, I think. I get it confused with Montage Mountain, which is the ski slope one in Pennsylvania, I think, as far as, like, remembering what the actual place is. But I do remember I always liked that gig.
Do you play many outdoor live amphitheater environments, or is it usually indoor concerts?
No, this summer we've only played 1 indoor concert.
Oh, really?
Oh, they're almost all outdoor. I don't know if it changes the energy, because sometimes indoor shows have this real... they're not as spread out, and so it can be really intense with an audience inside, but there's something really beautiful about playing outside, too. It can wear you down in the summertime, because you sound check in 100-degree heat in the afternoons, and then you play. It's not so bad up here, but, like, we usually start these tours. The first week of the tour, Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas, their fluid loss is epic. It's just so hot. But I kind of love outdoor gigs. So I think most bands do. But I wouldn't say I love it more. I mean, every different kind of gig has its, you know, its pluses and minuses, and you sort of learn to love them all for what they are.
Now, also during your live shows, you promote an organization which you started called the Graybird Foundation, featuring a food drive during the show. Could you go into some more detail and also about how people can help out?
Well, the idea for Graybird was always that, like, America is a participation-based country. I mean, I think the idea of government before America was that someone told you what to do and you did it, you know? And the whole idea behind our country was that we wanted to participate. You know, that we wanted to make the decisions all together we wanted to vote. As simple as that, and we were going to, as the country gets bigger, it's really easy to think that the contributions of individuals don't mean as much, and so you don't volunteer, you don't get involved with anything. And a lot of people don't even vote. And I think one of the things we do with Graybird is trying to remind people that it's completely possible to make a difference just by participating. So we work with all local organizations. We bring 2 or 3 local organizations in every city out, and we talk about them from the stage throughout the course of the night. Just to remind people that there are people in every city who are doing things for that city, and who are making a difference, and that it's possible for anyone to. And we try and encourage people to just stop by the booths and see if there isn't something they can do to help. It's always been the idea to kind of get people involved with the idea of being involved. So I think that's what makes our country function.
Now, when you're going to be performing at SPAC, do you know which organizations you're going to be working with in Saratoga for this?
No, I don't. My sister is our partner in it, and she does all the legwork and organizing it ahead of time. Usually find out the day of each gig who we've got there for that gig.
The core idea behind Graybird, is this something that you also take with you to your international shows, or is this only for the U.S. shows?
It's more a U.S. thing, because it's too hard to do it internationally. It's hard enough to liaise with promoters in America and get them to where we can bring groups in. Be nearly impossible overseas.
Actually, for our UK listeners specifically, do you have any British or European dates coming up in the future?
No, we just got back from Europe. We were there a little while ago.
Oh, really?
We were only playing Holland and Italy this time.
Actually, have you ever noticed a large difference at all between the reception of your music with a European, maybe in this case, an Italian crowd versus a U.S. crowd?
Well, we've always been bigger over here than Italy because they don't speak as much English over there. But not really. I mean, I think that there are cultural differences in every country, and you can... there are some countries where people want to stand up the whole time and go crazy and sing along, and there are some countries where people really just want to sit there and watch. And you have to kind of not come with a lot of preconceptions because, they may be just as into it as a crowd that's on their feet screaming, but it's really in their country about sitting down and listening. And so, people are different the world over, and you kind of have to, none of them's better or worse. It's just, you got to be careful that you're not looking for the most obvious response that you're used to seeing, and then being disappointed when you don't get it, because, different people in different parts of the world react to things differently. And, you have to just kind of be open to that. That's why I kind of always think that, you need to not get overly concerned with an audience when you're playing. You can only see a small amount of them, whoever's in the front. And, if the people in the front row are bored out of their minds, but there are 10,000 people behind them who are having the time of their lives, do you really want to screw up a concert because you're getting bummed out about 10 people in the front row? It's you got to be careful about that because you got to put a great show on every night, no matter what. And you don't want to get too caught up in, they're not there to entertain you. You know what I mean? The audience isn't there to entertain you, so I kind of try to not think too much about audiences when I'm playing because I just want to be up there with the guys on the stage and play a great show. And also because I don't want to screw up a show because I'm pouting about not getting the response I want out of somebody. Because, it's not their responsibility to entertain me from the audience,
Your last record was Somewhere Under Wonderland, and that was released in 2014. Do you have any new material coming out in the future as well?
It's not ready yet, but we started working on stuff a few months ago. Just the beginnings of songs. Nothing really, concrete yet. But we don't tend to plan very far ahead. We start writing, we get it, we record it, and then we have a record.
Now, do you test these out on an audience first, or do you release it all as a surprise?
Well, Somewhere Under Wonderland, we didn't play any of those songs for an audience before we recorded them, but we spent an entire summer in America on tour playing them before it was released. I guess it was 2 years ago, we went on tour, from June through October, and the record came out in October or something like that. So we played the songs for 3 months on the road, but we didn't play them before we recorded them. It just depends on when the record comes out and whether you're touring right there or not. That's kind of just dumb luck and timing.
With a catalog of songs spanning over 20 years, while you're playing your live shows and working with the audience, do you ever find that some of the older songs do get tiring to play night after night?
Well, no, because we just won't play them. If we don't want... we have so many songs that we we never need to beat ourselves to death playing something over and over again. So the secret to me is just, if you don't feel like playing a song on a given night, don't play it. You know, you can play. There's so many great songs. It doesn't really matter which ones you play. You know, that way you don't get sick of songs. I don't want to hate Mr. Jones, because I love Mr. Jones. It's a great song. But if I had to play it every night for my whole life, I would get tired of it. On a night when you don't feel like playing it, like, it's funny, we played it pretty much every night this tour. But there have been years where we didn't play it at all. You know, it just kind of, sometimes it goes in and out, and sometimes it's like a 50% thing. It just kind of, my feeling is like, you owe them the best show possible. You don't owe them a particular set list. And the best way to play the best show is to really want to play every song you play. So, you know, we've probably got 90-something songs in rotation, which is more than most bands, because we change the set list every night. So there's a lot of songs to play from. So that way, that keeps us from getting, I don't want to hate my own songs.
Now, would you say your set list is pretty dynamic and it changes with the feel of the crowd, or do you have everything set and determined before you go on stage?
Immer and I, David Immerglick, our guitar player, me and him, after sound check each day, usually before dinner or after dinner, we make a set list up every night, depending on what we want to play. And we'll generally stick to that, although over the course of a concert, because songs change every night for us, they could be longer or shorter, you know, because we improvise a lot in songs. I have to keep an eye on it so we don't go over, so I'll cut things, pull things, change things, depending on the timing, but generally we make the set list up and we stick to it. For
the remainder of your tour, is there anything else, any specific dates or events you're looking forward to hitting up the most?
Not really. I kind of just love playing gigs. I mean, I always look forward to the gigs that the towns my friends are in, but that's like a separate reason. It's you know, the truth is, I think my favorite gig this tour was one we played up in Bangor, Maine, a place I'd never been to before, and I didn't know anyone there. And it was a great gig. You know, like gigs will surprise you with, and you can look forward to it for certain reasons, but it's usually just because a city you want to go to, a restaurant you want to go to, or friends you want to see. But the shows themselves take on lives of their own, and they'll be great for reasons of their own. And like I said, I wouldn't have expected Bangor, Maine to be my favorite show of the tour, but it has been. It was just because we were inspired. You know, we were on fire. It was great. So it's like, you know, the thing about touring, in a way, is like you're living a very repetitive life in some ways, and there's a lot of it, and you're away from home and away from people you know for a long time. So too much thinking ahead is not necessarily good for you. You kind of have to be in the moment, because you have to play this great show every night, and every city is as important as other cities. And if you're only saving it up to get to New York City, that's not a very good idea, because there's a lot of America in the world that's not London and New York. You know, and you have to be there every night. And so, you know, you kind of try and live in the moment a little bit, I think, when you're on tour. Too much thinking ahead and too much of that stuff. You know, you don't want to play a crappy show in Bangor because you're looking forward to getting home to New York. I think we're really good about that, though. The best show of the tour was in Bangor to me so far.
Alrighty. And is there anything else you would like to add?
I say, tell people to come out early, because Kate Phillips, the first band, is magnificent. It's really worth seeing. They're great.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, man.
You have been listening to Recess with Spinelli here on WSPN, Saratoga Springs, New York, and HOXTON FM, London, England. And we've been speaking with Adam Duritz of the Counting Crows. They will be at the Saratoga Performing Arts Center on August 15th.